Mate, how are you?
Pretty damn good, Josh. It's really good to be here, man.
Yeah, man, it's really good to see you. This was such a fucking surprise and a treat. This is great.
Bit of a whirlwind trip, very unexpected, man. I'm glad I caught you guys at a good time.
Yeah, it was interesting because yesterday was one of those kind of flat days where you sort of bottom out a little bit. Like I'd been at a wedding on Saturday, huge boozy night, and you know how it's sort of you get this lull. Well, I know you're 29.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way to age me like right at the start of this.
I'm 38.
For all those casting directors listening, I play anywhere from 25 to 40.
Hey, you know, I've noticed they're starting to ask your actual age on casting
I've noticed
things.
that. Mainly on commercial stuff, I've noticed. But yeah, they're asking your actual age. I'm guessing because they want authenticity. That seems to be the way that they're going with it. But I've also
Do you want to know my undie size as well? Like fucking hell.
Well, yeah, if you commercials for undies,
if I'm doing a Bonds ad. But it was one of those down post boozy night days, and it was just a head fuck of a day. Like, you know, first world shit was going wrong. So when I got your text, I was like, oh, this is fucking great. And then I was like, I haven't seen you in
getting close to a year.
Close to a year, yeah. Winter last year so it must be a year because it was rainy as fucking cold.
It was pretty garbage when I was last year.
Yeah. Oh, it was a year because it was just after my former agency had delivered that little.
That's right, and that little sentence. Yeah, that's right. And I think last time I was back, I went to Sydney, not Melbourne, and copped a little bit for that. Not from you, but I was because normally I come to Melbourne. I lived here for 2 years. That's how we became friends, and it's the city that I love coming back to. Honestly, I was saying this yesterday to a bloke that I should get a kickback from Tourism Vic for the amount of times I recommend Melbourne to people overseas. I swear.
I'm sure you'll find a way to pull it off.
You know I will. I've actually worked for them before, so yeah, it was like my very.
Spirit of Tassie ad?
Spirit of Tassie? Yeah, that's Tassie though. I did the Tourism Vic vignettes for the PGA Golf when I first moved here. Vignettes. It's like these little nice montagey moments of this man about Melbourne. Basically. Right. I played the Melbourne man and I was the guy from out of town. Basically, is how that went down. That's the jobs you do when you move to Melbourne.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you do.
You work for dumplings.
But it's a lot of we were discussing this earlier, and then I sort of said let's just discuss it on the podcast, and that dials into why you're the perfect guest for the podcast too.
Is a strong word, but
no, I think you are because.
Thank you, mate.
Well, I've had a real good mix of people so far, of people who have been at it for 15, 20 years and are still grinding. People like myself are only into it 4 years and are have realized really quickly that they've got to change their game if they're going to get and stay relevant.
Yeah.
And then people like yourself who have taken it to the next step and you are actually producing stuff or you have already produced stuff, written stuff, acting it. You're over in Vancouver. You're doing some pretty cool things. But you worked that out pretty quickly too. Like I can't just sit around waiting for my agent to hand me stuff or the universe. I've got to go and learn how to do all of these things and start creating my own content and making it great. That's why you're here. It's awesome.
Yeah, it is. It was something that kind of started to become pretty prevalent to me, is that because of the way that the market was changing and if you want to get seen and you want to be in the roles that you really want to be or want to be seen, and not even like a dream role, which yes, I've done. My very first foray into filmmaking was my ultimate dream role that I'm pushing for, which is Roy Harper, playing Roy Harper in the Titans universe, which is now becoming a more and more well-known show, but it's a DC original, and they've got some Australian cast in there already. And I knew that this, when they were going to tell the story, that this character existed in there, because he exists in the Arrowverse, which is, all of those CW shows that they actually shoot where I'm from. Mm-hmm. So that, Arrow, Supergirl, all of those. But
Batwoman.
this Titans takes place in a different universe. They shoot in Toronto, on the other side of the country.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, and this character exists in that universe. I knew he did. And then season 2, there was a little hint that, yes, it's confirmed that he exists in this universe. So, but before all of that,
So that hasn't been cast.
before that even, no, that role has not been cast because they don't actually see him. But before all of that, before the actual show was even released, I had a Deadpool inspiration by our boy Ryan Reynolds, Van City, Ryan Reynolds, and just said, well, if a guy like that has to go and work 11 years to get something made because that's the role he was absolutely born to play, which no one would question now that no other actor could play Deadpool the way that he played him and was meant to be. I said I'll take a leaf out of his book. And I made a concept trailer. It's actually a series of concept trailers, not an actual short film, which some people got confused by. I think people are still confused by what medias are what at the moment with short form and different things. But concept trailers and proof of concept are still a real thing of actually shooting vignettes, shooting inserts, shooting all these different things without necessarily having overall arcing.
Right.
There was an overall arcing narrative to the trailer, but it's really more about showing than telling.
Yes.
It's showing the universe. It came from a selfish place of I want to be this character. But then it became, okay, what can we do that? What friends can I get involved? Who else can we showcase? Who else will get some great footage out of this? And we just built up from there. We also had an amazing stills photographer, which meant we got some incredible shots behind the scenes too. Shout out to Mark Taylor in Australia.
Yeah, the stuff that I have seen looked great.
Thank you, man.
That great shot of you.
Fighting or?
Oh, no, the spin around.
Oh, the spin around.
The spin around was awesome.
I think it's still my Facebook photo.
It's so good. It's so good. And it reminds me of this tip that Miles Pollard gave me, like when he was working on Drift with Sam Worthington, and he was a bit nervous about his big hero shot and that, sort of coming out of the surf and the push in. And he said that Sam Worthington said to him, when you've got that big hero shot, sing the Superman tune to yourself. It's really bizarre. Dun, 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 dun. Like this. And he said it's really bizarre.
Is that the one? Yeah.
But it will
That'll do it.
It'll own the absurdity of it. And you just sort of nestle into it. And I thought, I love these little kind of techniques.
That's kind of like the opposite of what we were talking about last night when I got in about Joker and how they found that in the scene about Todd going and getting the score and then Joaquin finding the movements and things from that.
Based on that.
It's kind of, it's a villain, not a superhero, not a hero moment, but it's in a way, it's his hero moment,
It
right?
is his hero moment,
and he's
for sure.
Music's powerful like that, isn't it? It's
and it's very, that's a real thread through that film, especially the staircase scene, which probably will be equally as famous a scene.
Now, I've heard, and I don't know if this is true, so I don't know if I'm spreading rumors straight up here on the podcast, but I'll spread it.
We don't have a fact check, fuck it.
I like the idea of it, is that it's a cheeky little homage or a cheeky little shout out to Heath from There's 10 Things I Hate About You, because Heath playing the Joker previously, 10 Things I Hate About You coming down the stairs when he's singing. So I've heard that might be a little homage, but I think only Todd and his DP and maybe a couple of his producers can.
That's interesting. I wonder if it was a connection that was made after it. To me, the homage was being in the back of the police car.
That's what I thought too. Yeah. And
I've seen lots of people pull that and link it. I want to dial back to Rogue Roy.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Just quickly, just tell me about, like, you get the idea and you go, okay, I'm an actor here in Melbourne. I've done a couple of cool things, but this is a big one, and I go, fuck it. I'm going to put together the funds and I'm going to make this proof of concept, which, by the way, I think actually proof of concepts, if there was ever a lull, it's got to be coming back if we're all creating our own content, right? Like there has to be, I would have thought, and doing the festival route doesn't necessarily prove your concept either.
Not at all.
No. If you've got the network or you're good at pushing it, a proof of concept, you'd be better to get it out of the gate right away, I would have thought.
I think it's about getting in front of eyeballs as much as possible. I tried not to be too precious with getting it out there. My visual effects editor might say otherwise, but I tried to roll it out as quickly as I could.
Is it out? Available?
The latest trailer is, yeah. Okay. There's still the most narrative one that's still in the works, and that involves all the scenes we shot. So there's some stuff that hasn't even come out yet because we haven't actually released a trailer that involves that scene, but there's some really beautiful stuff. I got very lucky in that in the location scouting of the film itself, and it's kind of led me down an interesting path in Vancouver now, location scouting, and it's becoming what I do over there, slowly but surely, which is really exciting. And it's not really a real job in Australia. It's just kind of done by the same group of people, which is fine. There's very limited projects, but in Vancouver they're just hungry.
They're flat out.
They're hungry for talent,
right?
You know, and not just in front of the camera. They're just hungry. So I'm definitely leaning on that and using that that demand to get more work over there and free myself up as an actor and filmmaker, because location scouting, I mean, you're building relationships as a producer. You know, you're building relationships with current producers and directors and location managers, which location managers are just amazing to watch over there. Some of the ones I've worked with have been so lovely and phenomenal and so good at their jobs. Unsung heroes, honestly. So yeah, it's been really eye-opening working over there, man. But pulling it back to Rogue Roy, which is the Roy Harper trailer. What we called it was Rogue Roy, was the name of the project. I think it's all about getting it out there. As many people can see it as possible. There's a Facebook group that's Roy Harper for DC Titans, which, I mean, we could really change the name now because this character is already established. The writers know that this character exists in that universe. I'm in no way responsible for that. I think it's happening organically because he is a loved character. But ultimately, it would be great if a lot of people that were involved get some good footage out of it and get some cool superhero-looking trailers that they can put in there.
Yeah.
Bits, and we got some great pitch footage as well for me and my people to say this guy's ready to go. He's good with a bow.
Yeah.
He's got the kind of roguish.
I mean, you look exactly like the character. I mean, it's crazy.
Thanks, man. No, it is crazy looking at the comics. That's why for a long time I just have pushed it.
So what's I don't know what I want to say, like, what's the hold up? But what is it that you're waiting on now, to make that a complete piece?
Well, to finish the trailer,
the proof of concept as a whole piece.
As a whole piece, to the final piece of the puzzle, it's all about resources. So so money, that means nicer editing, which then gets passed to our visual effects guy, which then gets passed to our sound guys.
Okay, cool.
Which they've all done amazing favors to me. And we've completed another film, which we world premiere next week.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So
same team.
Same post team. Yeah. We've
right.
We've formed a bit of a partnership. And so over there in Canada, we do visual effects in BC, British Columbia, and then we're doing the sound here. So yeah, it's becoming a bit of a team and something that we're putting together. It's a hustle doing it back and forth, but it's actually not that hard. The internet's pretty amazing like that.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
But we've done post production remotely, and Darkest Corner is the name of the short film. It comes out. We screen it at the Veterans Film Festival in Canberra next Friday night.
The Veterans Film Festival.
November 8th. Yep.
So a pretty strong theme that runs through that one.
There is, absolutely. Yeah. We could not have made it without the involvement of some buddies of mine that have formed the extras agency called Extra Specialists, and they're ex-military, at least the bulk of them are.
Right.
And they are just phenomenal at what they do. The military style and training and patience and professionalism really does help them on set. And so many of the guys have become good mates of mine are here and in Canada.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really exciting, and they've been really patient as well because they want to see their work come through. But if you want to check them out, you can see them in films like Danger Close. You can see them in Dawe the Explorer as well, and you can catch them in our short film, The Darkest Corner.
Did you do that straight off the back of Rogue Roy?
Not straight off the back. Actually, the shoot that became Darkest Corner was meant to be a pickup for Rogue Roy. It was actually meant to be our hero one shot.
Mm-hmm.
So a one shot take. For those that don't know what that is, it's a steady cam shot essentially, where you just roll for an extended period of time, and you have no cut points or hide the cut points, and just keep rolling and make it seem like one big tracking shot, one big section of action. And so I found this amazing location. Again, it's location scouting. I saw it and fell in love, and I was like, that's perfect. And it always had this romantic idea of doing a fight scene down a stairwell and just following it down, which Daredevil. Daredevil ended up doing it in season 2.
In the hallway?
No, there's the hallway.
Oh, that's in the first season
1.
Yeah,
that's their long one take, and then they did a stairwell in season 2. So. But mine's different. The one that I wanted to do is different. It'd still be great to do in one day. There was just a lot of location legalities involved that we just didn't have time to get through because I was moving to Canada. So we had the team ready to go in a matter of speaking, and I knew the cast of people I wanted to work with. And so but I had this other location that a mate had kind of show me photos, and he said, I'm going to be able to get this one. I'm like, oh, that would be sweet. Look at this. It looks post-apocalyptic. It looks abandoned. He's like, yeah, I'm going to clean it up and turn it into, this. And I'm like, yeah. But before you clean it up, before you do that, can we do something? Maybe? And he's like, yeah, man, like, do you? At this point, I'd shot in a couple of his locations as well because of part of his business. Notice I'm not giving away too much detail. But he's my guy, and I love working with him. He's very understanding and understands that business and video is the way it's going, content, right? But anyway, I digress. We had this location, and from that, 3 weeks out from that final weekend, we're like, okay, we're going to shoot. This is Dave's final weekend here. I didn't say that, but this is the weekend we're shooting. And give everybody the dates, and then basically my buddy pitched me an idea from that. My co-creator, Zach Loy, he pitched this kind of world, and I was like, dude, that's great. I can write the shit out of that. So I wrote the vomit draft and just got it down 20 pages, and then sent it back to him. He trimmed it down, made it better, cut out things that weren't really necessary, and then I cast it very quickly, and just cast friends and connections that I had, people that I knew that I could trust. Yeah. But there was the one that she really trusted me was our lead, Frances Berry, who I reached out to, and she didn't know me from a bar of soap, mate. But she trusted me, and she sent me some of her work, and she was really good, really good. Very emotionally available. Yeah,
that's great.
So and that's what this character needed. It needed like a cold shell of protection with just emotions ready to come out at the right time. So
and you directed as well.
Zach and I, it steamrolled from there. We ended up losing our location a week before, and then I found this amazing steelworks through a mate that is now my buddy. But we met at a Bucks night like 2 weeks prior, and I'd saved his business card. And it happened in conversation that the father of Bai was like, yeah, he's got a steelworks, you should get his card. And I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm not really in town much longer, but all right, I'll hang on to it.
Fuck it, yeah.
And it worked out. So
isn't it crazy how those things happen?
Yeah, huge lesson to absolutely foster those relationships, and also like we didn't just roll in. I went in, I checked it out, and it was perfect. I said, mate, are you happy to do this on the beer economy? He said, absolutely, man. Do you? Come on Friday, Saturday. So we did it. Came in, shot all night Friday, or most of like pretty late Friday night, and then shot Saturday from like early morning to about 1 a.m., 2 a.m. And but to answer your question, I co-directed. So my co-creator, Zach, we both agreed that he would be the technical director and I would be the performance director.
Right. Well, that's great.
Oh, it's so great. It's great having someone I trust behind the lens as
Yeah.
well when well, not behind the lens, I should say. That's my other partner in crime, Declan Sinclair. He's the DP extraordinaire that I work with. Very old friend, actually, now. We've known each other for shit, over a decade, I think.
Oh, wow.
Or close to a decade. But, yeah, he... having Zach behind the split and watching was really freeing. As opposed to Rogue Roy when I just had to direct it out of necessity and learn on the fly.
Oh, you did direct.
I did have to direct that
Right.
because I had a buddy that was going to, and they just no one could be available essentially.
Yeah, right.
So I just had to trust myself that I could do it. Now I really enjoy it. I actually have enjoyed bits of directing since then, but
You wouldn't choose it over acting, though.
no.
No.
But I enjoyed doing both. I enjoy doing both, and I enjoy it. And honestly, I really love producing as well.
Do you?
Yeah, honestly, not many people say that, and it's such a bitch. And people, you really got to love it. If you really want to do it well, you really have to love it and do it. I enjoy the creative producing.
Example.
I enjoy having that control of the story and talking it through with my actors, and telling that as a kind of go-to point. I also just enjoy the problem-solving side of it.
Right.
But maybe it's because I got to do this, a lot of my own location scouting and kind of envision that.
Yeah, that
I was
stuff
kind
is
of doing my
cool.
own tech surveys, as they call them in Canada. I was kind of just doing that solo tech surveying, be like, okay, this is great, ready to go. We'll put this here, and we'll make it work. And then I'd message that to my co-creator and be like, I found the spot. Don't worry, we're on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll send photos to my DP and be like, this is what it's going to look like. And he'd be like, okay. So firm trust, man. Having amazing trust put in me. And we've got a film that looks beautifully cinematic and has come up a lot better than I could have imagined.
Yeah, well, that's great. That's awesome. And that is...
Darkest Corner.
No, but that is this weekend?
Next weekend, Friday. Next Friday, the November 8th at 6 p.m. at the Australian War Memorial in Canberra.
Cool, man.
So myself and my lead veteran, Jake Turner, he plays our main bad guy. He's flying down with me. We're going to go down and do a Q&A and maybe a couple of cheeky interviews. And
Yeah, cool. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Touching on what you were talking about directing and what have you before, I was... it was discussed heavily because I had a similar situation on Lauren last year where it was director after director pulled out. The lead actress pulled out, and then a producer pulled out.
This is your film, Lauren, yes, which I've seen from the ground up. And next thing I knew, you were shooting it and as well.
Which it was
so awesome, man.
It was great, and it was great to something that had been in the back burner for like 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
But everyone was like, "Why don't you just direct it?" And I was like, "Fuck." And someone said, if I had to do it over again, I said no to directing because I was like, man, I'm producing it, I'm funding it, I'm fucking shopping for the food, I'm doing set design, I'm doing wardrobe, I'm also acting in the fucking thing. I can't be doing a shot list and being on for an 18-hour day or whatever. Our first day was 18 hours, the next 2 was 16, and then I think it was 14 after that. It was huge, and I'm glad I didn't direct. But if I could do it over, I like the idea of someone said, well, why don't you get someone in to handle performance and someone to handle the technical side of things? And maybe I should have handled performance. Not to say that the director didn't handle performances, but there were some times where, we didn't see eye to eye. And then I had to come in as producer and say, it's like this. And also the writer. It was a new, unique spot to be in.
Because you were the writer as well, right?
I was everything basically, and not by design. Like that's not what I wanted. I much prefer to hand over to the people who do this.
Right.
You know what I mean? I like to just concentrate on the one thing. I don't like to be spread so thin. It's just not. Yeah, I wouldn't do it again. Not. But I probably will have to.
Yeah.
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 Like
probably.
I'm working towards a proof of concept now, and probably going to be the guy who puts the whole fucking thing together, has written it, and is going to act in it, and is going to be sourcing all the stuff. And that's just until you step over and now you have a team and they're on a payroll and they're out there doing it. That's going to be the go, isn't it?
Absolutely. And yeah, you got to pull favors and make it work however you need to, just remembering who are your film family throughout it, and at the end of the day, and when it comes through, the people that dig in for you and really do help it along. Like this film couldn't exist without so many people in both in production and post. Mm-hmm. So as far as I'm aware, everyone is credited. It's one of those huge things, man. I think there is something to the splitting directorial duties. I think there is something to that. I saw it. I worked on Pirates of the Caribbean 5 back on the Gold Coast when I was still kind of getting into things, and started out as a background extra, basically. Worked up to stand-in and worked up to being a picture double. So in that time, I got to see the directors do their thing from all angles, and they actually had two Swedish, I think they were directors, and they worked as counterparts. One was technical and one was performance.
I think it's good.
And only one would really bring out the notes and come out to the actors, and the other would stay behind the split most of the time. It was really interesting to watch that cohesion. I mean, I'm sure they argued at some point. It was 5 months shoot or whatever it was.
Yeah, for sure.
On and off, 5 months. But they always seemed like they really understood each other's vision, like it was a shared vision for them from the get-go. So as long as you're portraying that on set, people can get behind that, I think. Yeah. So that was kind of where I maybe saw that. Both shooting off after this to do some creative work, aren't we?
Yeah, I don't know that I would call real estate photography and floor planning too creative, but it is.
It's work,
man. You know what? Look, here's the thing. This is what I say about the real estate work that I do. It's very autonomous for the most part, and it's super flexible. Sometimes when the housing market isn't so great, it's pretty tough. It's been a slow winter. But the company I work for know that I'm an actor, and all the people who do all my bookings and all this kind of stuff know it. And they, when I get an audition in or something happens, they will move anything that I need to, which is it's so good.
That's really flexible. It's a good thing to have.
Because if I had a 9 to 5, it'd be fucked.
Well, that's what I used to have as an architect, and they eventually came out that I was an actor. It was pretty hard to hide it eventually.
Yeah.
But
did I see you on a commercial there?
No, that was I
don't know. You kind of introduced yourself as Dave Beamish, and I'm an actor.
David Beamish, architect. No, that was a previous life, but it's the 9 to 5 makes it really hard. So it's a juggle for actors, but at the same time, it's handy to have when you're just starting out. And you're needing that income, and
you need income, man. You need cash.
You do. It absolutely needs to be sustainable, and you need to take risks as well. And moving over to Canada was a risk for me, but it's slowly becoming more and more sustainable for me to live there, and that's
and it's an expensive as fuck city.
Oh yeah, Vancouver's super expensive. It's crazy. Up there with Sydney. It's crazy. Yeah. And housing prices and all that whatnot. But you make it work. You make it work, and you figure it out, and you work 15-hour days on set if you need to pay those bills. But
what's the recce money like?
Sorry? For scouting?
Scouting, right. So when I used to work for a production company, we call it recce.
Yeah, recce's. Yeah. I mean, that is an Australian thing. Recce's, yeah. Recce's is probably what we would call a tech survey over there. So like a recce would go in, they go in like a team. The scouts is more like the first point of call, really. You're going in solo, kind of like a detective / salesman / everything. You're just collecting all the stuff. And I'm going to do some scouting here in Melbourne tomorrow, briefly. But the money, it's modest, but it builds up over years. It's a pretty good starting for what it is, and the flexibility that comes with the role. It's flexible, but you also have to bust your ass. It's kind of one of those things. But again, like you're saying, like it gives you that flexibility to go and do your auditions, and all the location managers that I've worked with so far as in a locations team, they all aware one way or another that I'm an actor.
Right.
So
I
if
would
need-
imagine there'd be a few of you that are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are. So you take it on yourself to, bust your ass so that
Got a
you're
good
valuable.
name.
Yeah.
And
So
you have that flexibility.
exactly. You have that flexibility. They understand that, yes, you occasionally have to duck out, but it's worth it because finding good people that are reliable is hard to find. And you can still be more reliable than that person that's there the whole week. You know what I mean? If you're delivering throughout and you only disappear for,
Talk to me about your, and stop me if I feel like I'm allowed to speak about it.
Oh, you're prying so much, Josh.
That's the whole point. Your Interpol character.
Oh, well, I can talk about it now because the series is starting to release. I can't say too much about the
plot lines
story because the episode hasn't dropped yet. But my first major casting.
Because I spoke to you on Skype. I think you had just
got the news. Or just shot it.
I think you had just auditioned.
Oh, really?
And you were like, I'm feeling pretty good about this one.
Oh, there you go.
I think they're into me because I can speak a little German. I look the part.
Yeah,
blah, blah,
I
blah.
can speak a lot of German.
Yeah.
I think that's honestly what got me over the line. Is the fact that I'm fluent.
Why are you fluent in German? Parent?
No,
Just because?
just hobby. No,
I'm just awesome like that.
I don't know.
Languages come to me.
I went to Germany for a week once, and I was just like, I speak German. I went to Oktoberfest once at the RNA Showgrounds in Brisbane, and I was like, I'm German. No, my parents, when I was 12 or 13, asked me if I wanted to be in the German immersion program when I went to high school.
Oh, cool.
Because I always was pretty good with my studies and pretty on the ball in kind of the top kind of percent of my class or whatnot. And that's not rubbing myself up,
I get it.
It's not joking myself off, but I wanted a challenge, I guess, so to speak.
You had the capacity to take it on.
Yeah, I did. And went into high school and joined the immersion program, which it was one of the, the few schools in Queensland that offered this German immersion program. Shout out to Kenmore High. And you do basically 3 years at grade 8, 9 and 10, 4 subjects in German. So science, social studies.
Wow.
Yeah, maths and
Okay.
German.
Yeah. Then that's the way to do it.
That's the way to do it. And then at the end of the program might have changed since. And I think the man that started it, John Parker, has since retired. But it's a good program, and it finishes with 2 months in Germany, living over there as a exchange student in a town and going to a sister school, and you go on a trip for 2 weeks. But basically, by the end of that process, you end up relatively fluent if I think I had a natural kind of affinity I was always doing accents and voices growing up, and I was that guy that was impersonating Family Guy and shows all through high school. And I always kind of had a bit of a, performance kind of element to me that I didn't realize for the longest time. But I came back pretty fluent, and it served me well in different ways since, from getting lost in Belgium to getting
laid.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, getting numbers of shopkeepers. It's an interesting skill set. I never thought it would 10 years later or 14 years later it would lead me to standing on set, meeting Jessica Biel and Marlee Matlin, and basically doing my performance as an Interpol agent.
Who are you doing your scene with?
I can't say too much other than what I just said.
Sure.
I will say that the show's called Limetown.
Limetown.
Right. It's on Facebook. It's free right now.
That's crazy.
So Facebook can do that because they're freaking Facebook.
Yeah,
and they are putting out original content right now. And by all accounts, the people that love me enough to have watched it have told me they freaking love it and can't not. They're binging it.
I mean, look, I watched the preview.
The one of the trailers.
Yeah. And I was like, holy shit. She was great in Sinner.
Wasn't she? Yeah. And this is so much a follow-on. If you liked Sinner, I think you definitely like this. But also different character.
Right.
Different character. Jessica Biel is a fantastic actress.
She sure is.
Super, super lovely as well.
Which is awesome.
Which is awesome. Like you just hope.
You fucking hope so much.
You hope so much because she does portray that. Also, her and her husband, Justin Timberlake, are fast becoming my favorite couple to watch on social media.
I didn't even realize they were a couple.
Yeah, they are. And when we were hanging out in the green room, because I looked like a few of the other, they had BG and stunt guys that looked like me, dressed the same,
Right.
because we're a team, so to speak. This is all I can say. But essentially, I got kind of mixed in with those guys and was just hanging out with them. And so, there was a chair for me up in the green room, and I was just like, didn't even know. No one had told me, because I was just hanging out with the other boys and shooting the shit with them. Until they came in and were like, "Hey, is one of you guys an actor? Like, was one of you guys cast?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." And like, "Oh, there's a chair for you. There's like a heater and chairs and like, do you want food?" I was like, "Yeah, that'd be nice."
It's awesome.
Yeah, but I was enjoying chilling with the boys. But it was a really interesting experience, hanging out in the green room and chatting to them and just shooting the shit. And
How many days of shooting, or just a day or more?
I think I could say just the one cast day, plus all the things that are involved beforehand. I've never had my facial hair more discussed in a show, which is really cool. Oh, that's a lie. Probably have. I've done indie features where we've tried to keep it up for continuity, but it was a lot of fun shooting that. I had the best day, and fingers crossed that the episode goes well and it's
when
cut
is that
together
due
really
to
well.
land?
So episode 5 and 6 will come out this week on Wednesday, and then 7 and 8 will come out the following Wednesday. Basically, they drop 2 episodes, 30-minute episodes per week.
Cool.
And I am in episode 8.
All right, I'm definitely going to tune into that.
Got to tune in. 30 minutes, man.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter how long it is. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Straight
And
out.
literally to watch it, I mean, they try to show you on Instagram and all these things of how easy it is. You go into Facebook and you type Limetown, and the show
There it is.
The show appears for free.
That's great.
It's
I think
brilliant.
it's so good that there's just more and more and more platforms. I know some people have a whinge about, there's just so much out there.
It's a good
when you're an
thing.
actor,
When you're an actor, that's
you're fucking,
really
this
good.
is awesome.
You're pumped. We live in a golden age. There's never been more jobs, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, we've had discussions about job availability and the swing towards diversity, much needed swing towards diversity. And we don't have to go too far down that path, but
No.
I think saying that it's really saying that there's less jobs for now another demographic is simply not true. There's more content than there's ever been. The job is still there. There are just more prevalent jobs, or there are bigger shows coming out that show this change.
Yeah.
That's honestly, I'm excited to see where it goes.
There's a pocket for everyone, so you can't just say, it's all one thing or it's all this thing. Change the platform that you're watching on, and you'll find a different brand.
Yeah, and this leads us back to what started this conversation, which is if you still feel otherwise, stop complaining and make your own shit.
You heard it here. On Big Wonder.
Hashtag make stuff. Just fucking do it.
Stop complaining.
Stop complaining. Get it on your iPhone. Pay that iPhone. Get it on a contract so you pay it off by week. You can shoot in 4K. Stop whinging. Get a free editing program like DaVinci Resolve, which you can color grade in. Keep your file sizes nice and
super simple.
Keep your file sizes nice and small, and just shoot it. Just cut it. Make it in that. Get some open source music. Put it over the top. Credit them. Just fucking do it.
Just do it. You do actually just have to sit down and fucking do it.
Yeah.
I talk a lot about it on this show because this is why this show exists. But, sitting down to write a feature for the first time, I'm not a writer. I'm just a struggling actor who's also a photographer. How the fuck I've got this idea. How do I work out if it's a good idea? And then it's a military film. I don't know anything about the military. It's about anti-poaching. I don't really know much about anti-poaching. I sure as shit don't know how to write. Well, you just fucking sit down and you get the book and you read the book and then you speak to people and you get on forums and you go to Udemy and you watch this. Dude, and you just fucking sit there and start doing it.
I'm so impressed you wrote a feature. And that's the thing. Is like there's so many cases I've heard of just like watching like people will just go and vomit down this draft. It's like, I really want to use that. You use your imagination initially and just write it. Then you research it and make it more real.
Yeah.
And add the legitimacy. Refine and speak to veterans. Which, by the way, I mean, if you want, I'm sure you've already got some overlooking, but I'm sure I've got some veteran buddies that would love to look at it from that perspective. But
yeah, I do. Like the next point from here is I need. And you might be able to correct me if I'm wrong on this. This is a good spot to wrap the show up and also punch in something. I don't want this to end. I know. Well, if you're back in town, we'll do a part 2.
That sounds good.
So I'm at the point now where I've got the script as tight as I'm going to get it, I think, from my perspective, unless I have a little something comes in.
Yeah.
But I want to talk to VetPaw. Do you know who VetPaw are?
I don't, actually. Do tell.
So VetPaw is the organisation in the Kruger National Park with whom I have fictitiously based my story around, and they are American veterans. I forget the name of the guy who started it, but he started this anti-poaching unit, but with like highly trained American vets. And and since they've been in the Kruger National Park, I'm pretty sure that they've pulled it back about 25 to 30%.
Is this in South Africa?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So most of without going on, I guess it's a huge tale, but a lot of the other units are like 30-day training camps, and then they're rangers, and they go out there. They don't have, 10 years of elite Navy SEAL training or whatever the fuck,
You know what? I actually met a guy that does South African armed response and deals with poachers in South Africa right now. I actually met him over the weekend.
Yeah,
down
right.
the Gold Coast. If you want
I'm
a guy like that to have a read.
To whoever the fuck I can talk to. And so my question is the script's pretty good to go. I've even had military people look at it and like, yeah, for the most part, you could change these changes. I made those changes. But what do I do from here? I've got a script. I'm a nobody, essentially. Do I go to VetPaw independently, or do I find a producer first and then the two of us go to them and say, this is my script, this is my story, it's about you guys, but not. I would really like to tighten it up and make sure that it is as close to what you're doing as. Do you know what I mean? And then get their support.
I think there's no wrong time to go and get the support of those organizations if they're really open to it. If you've represented them in the film, then the sooner you approach them, the better. Because the sooner you know they're on board, the better. I wrote a pilot, and it was very much based on bullying and online cyberbullying and those types of things, which still has still rolling along, which I'm excited about. It's called Stuck Home Syndrome, as in stuck home syndrome. But I contacted the creator of Words Are Weapons, the social media movement. So
you did that without.
I just reached out. I actually knew the guy from way back, and so I reached out, and eventually he read the script. Eventually just read the script, and gave his approval, and I don't think there's a wrong time. Especially you've got the script. The script is the business card, and this is the go ahead. Having that support is not going to mean funding, but it does add some element of legitimacy. Like, this is a story. You
mean from a production company, or from a
producer? From meeting a producer, maybe an established producer, and saying this word is legitimacy. The guys, if they ask the question of, tell me more about these guys, we're like, well, actually they support us. I've reached out to them.
Okay, so you think that maybe the angle might be to speak to them and then take that package to a production company.
Totally. Yeah. It's easier for you to go direct, because if a producer's approaching them, you're not trying to get anything out of them. You're not trying to get them to fund the film. You just want them to see themselves in your film, basically.
Yeah, and well, actually, my sort of, and I'll close on this because we're running out of time. My hope is that I speak to them and them go, perfect scenario. Wow, man, this is great. What can we do? Okay, you can help me tighten it up, and then you can put me in touch with a guy called Timothy Sykes. Timothy Sykes runs an organization called Kamagawa, and he's already been out there and spent time with them and donated them heaps of money and put them in touch with like Richard Branson and all this kind of stuff. But he made a short film with like some Instagram influencer, whatever, and that was a great little insight into it. But his Kamagawa organization deals with animal cruelty, but he's one of the most successful, if not the most successful, day traders in history. and he's created an online training camp and an in-house training camp to teach people how to day trade.
Wow, okay.
And all of the profits from his teaching organization, 100% go to Kamigawa,
Okay.
not to his back pocket.
Well,
He's the guy I want to get in touch with.
well, then you know the action that you want to take, and you could pretty much, if you're super upfront about that, you could just straight up say that I'm looking to meet this person. He's, this, and I feel you guys might be the right way for me to do that. But you've got to be super genuine. The most important thing to me is that we make this film accurately to you guys, to do you justice. But I think it's a great story that needs telling. I'm excited to see where that goes, man.
Thanks, man.
Just to round it out, actually, I'm on my way back through AFM, the American film market. That's all going on when I come back through LA. So
we talk a lot about that on here, actually.
Oh yeah, man. It's definitely a happening thing. It's not the be all end all by any means, but it's a happening place where a lot of meetings can really happen and business gets done. And I've got some buddies coming out from Canada, and I'll be passing through on my way back to Canada. So I'm going through with a few of my series concepts. So we've got the Stockholm Syndrome one. We've got Darkest Corner has actually got a series concept as well around it that we've developed, Zach and I. I'm kind of inspired by the Limetown guys too, who are originally a podcast. So I feel like, you can develop it from something. It can start from humble beginnings and become an entire show.
For sure.
Yeah. And the third one that is I feel has got some legs is kind of based around, a little bit inspired by my character in Limetown, and it's a very German speaking heavy sci-fi. Yeah, but it's it's we've got some people attached, and we've got some partners already at the table that are interested in making this together. We're just going to be looking for that right financier that believes that the German markets will be just
ready.
Well, they're hungry for content just like everyone else is, and this one would be German American. It wouldn't have to voice over too much of the other, but so we're excited, man. It's gonna be an interesting couple of weeks to see where that goes.
Watch this space.
Watch this space.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Josh. Thanks,
Catch you later, man.
Peace.